Hi, and a very good morning to you, good afternoon and good evening, depending on where you are and what time you are choosing to watch this upload. Got a good couple of articles to get through. I know you're going to be reading the title of this one, and we're going to get into it. But before we do, as always and usual, I'd like to just say a big thank you to those people that are supporting our observatory and the efforts in order to try and answer a few questions about what the hell is going on with our climate today, and who are the ones that are leading the information that is being put out with regards to what is mainstream considered the causes for climate change, and what some organisations and small observatories like ours have with regards to the opinions that we've got on these matters. Now, someone sent me yesterday an article and said that they was very confused, especially with the fact that we are approaching a time around 13 months from now where we will be passing that 40-degree mark, and based on those experiments that we conducted here at the observatory some time ago now, we believe that it's at that point when it crosses that region, we will see the magnetic North Pole possibly accelerate from that point on, where it leaves the strong field lines, which allows a slow migrating magnetic pole to migrate, and it goes into the weak field lines where it allows it to rapidly migrate. Now, when I say rapidly migrate, it could still take 2 years, but there will be a noticeable increase in the speed, and the time over that distance that it covers will be shorter, so it will be covering more distance in a short period of time, and therefore it will be an acceleration. And that's what we believe will start to happen in around 13 months from now. The guy had read this article from NASA. Alan at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in NASA has said, well, as you can see, flip-flop, why variations in the Earth's magnetic field aren't causing today's climate change. I'm going to show you a few things in this video. I'm going to show you why we feel it is, and we could use temperature data, which would rebut everything we say, but will just give you our analogy on why we believe that climate is definitely being affected by the migrating magnetic poles, and this is something that's been completely omitted by some of these larger organisations. And I have to say, it's like a first grade outlook of his explanations as to why he feels the magnetic poles or the magnetic field on our planet doesn't have any influence on the climate at all. I've showed you many times, and I've said to you guys, we've got 3 anomalies over the northern hemisphere in the Arctic region and over the southern hemisphere in the Arctic region, and I don't believe that they're there by just mere coincidence like a lot of these NASA scientists. I'll just get to the nitty-gritty. You can go over to NASA's website, and I'm sure you can find this article where he talks about his reasons for climate not being affected by Earth's magnetic fields. It largely stems, and I've got to say this, it's like a childish outlook to why he believes the climate is not affected by magnetic fields. And it's largely to do with ferrous materials in the upper atmosphere. He believes because a magnet couldn't click onto something that was ferrous, it therefore shouldn't have any influence on the makeup of our composition of our atmosphere. But there's a lot more going on, because when the magnetosphere weakens during a pole reversal, what happens is it allows our primary defence to reduce in strength. At the moment, it's probably around about 15 to maybe 20% less than what it should be. So it's operating on 4/5 of what it should have. So we're 20% down already, and as a result of seeing that 20% drop over a time period of around 40 years or so, or the last 100 years if you want to be critical about it, at some point it weakened by 20% over the last 100 years. And as a result of that, and I think you would agree with me that at least from the 1990s we have seen not just a increase in speed, in the pole migration. It doubled in actual fact, whereas from 1900 to 1990 it had migrated just 500 miles. From 1990 to this present day, it has done over 1,200 to maybe 1,400 miles in migration. So that's a big change, but I think you'll agree with me that we have noticed these dramatic changes to our climate in that same space of time. But just because that might be, that might be happening, it could also be the fact that there's a coincidence, but there's more to it. And this is why I feel that this is a first grade attempt to explain why magnetism and climate isn't affecting the Earth's changing climate. I'll just explain. When we get a weakened magnetosphere, that allows more cosmic radiation inbound to our upper atmosphere. And it is these cosmic rays that form cloud seeding platforms. And the more that you get of these, the more water vapour that is able to be built up in the upper atmosphere, mainly in the jet streams. And what we have been showing people is that over the last probably 6 years, is the dislocation between what was a nice ring around I suppose 60 degrees north where the polar jet stream should be, and then a little bit lower around 30 degrees we get the subtropical jet stream. These was two separate jet streams. What we've seen is that the two jet streams over the northern hemisphere and the two jet streams over the southern hemisphere mixing as a result of the more laden water that is forming in these jet streams, and it's simply caused by a weakening of the magnetosphere and allowing more cosmic rays to form in the upper atmosphere. Now I know jet propulsion built a cloud chamber, but I say this: if you don't put all the ingredients in what you've got in the upper atmosphere and you leave the majority of them out, well then it's errors in, and therefore you can only get errors back out of the experiments they conducted with the cloud chamber. So they're in denial basically over at NASA, and I believe that they would also be following suit in the European Space Agency and all those other organisations that read from the same hymn book, so to speak.